In 1982, the release of Ridley Scott's Blade Runner set a new bar for all science fiction movies to reach for. Undoubtedly, the brilliant cinematography of Jordan Cronenworth had much to do with the movie's groundbreaking look. Perhaps the most iconic of his shots was this close-up of Sean Young with her haunting, replicant eyes. I was a young cinematographer in training at the time, and this shot inspired me then, as it has for so many since. In 2009, I set a task during a cinematography workshop to reproduce a shot my students particularly liked or always wondered how it was shot from a movie, commercial, or music video. A young Kerwin Goh, who is now a very well-respected director and cinematographer, presented this shot with a rough idea on how to shoot it. We set up the shot to his spec, and after some experimentation and tweaking, this was what he achieved. So, what is going on here? The retina of the eye is quite reflective. Movie lights usually enter the eye from above, bounce off the retina, and hit the lower front area of the eye. The eyeball is opaque. Only the iris is capable of allowing light out again. If the light enters the eye horizontally, it will be reflected directly back, allowing it to exit out through the pupil again. This is the same effect we see in cat's eyes caught in headlights, and red eye in photography, caused by the flash of the camera being situated too close to the lens. This is not possible to achieve using a movie camera even if you want it, as we can't get a strong, direct light source close enough to the lens to bounce back into it. First, we need to place the light directly in front of the subject, so the light going into the eye can reflect out of the subject's iris. Now we need to place the camera directly in front of the subject and directly behind the light, so the reflected light can pass through the iris of the subject's eye directly into the lens of the camera. However, the light is now in the way of the camera. If we move either the light or the camera, the effect no longer works. To get the light to travel into the eye at the same horizontal line as the camera, we need to bend it by 90 degrees. To do this, we reflect the light off a small plane of glass in front of the camera, supported at an angle of 45 degrees. Now the light can enter the eye, bounce off the retina, and pass through the glass directly into the lens of the camera. I was tasked to shoot Blade Runner eyes for the movie Songs for Selena to give a visual communication that the girl in the scene was drugged. This is how we did it. First, we placed 2 sentry stands with sentry heads and a sentry arm clamped between them. Then rested a glass plate onto the bar, securing it with gaffer's tape. Using a sentry head and a short arm, we supported the glass at the 45-degree angle. Then measured the height from the floor to the subject's eyes, and set up the camera so the center of the lens was at the same height. Then set up the light on the floor directly beneath the glass. We found at first we did not achieve the bounce off the retina, so Leo, my gaffer, reset the glass angle using a spirit level, which seemed to be more accurate. I used a small 50-watt Kinelux for the key light, which was passed through a dimmer, as we were not looking for a demonic type of light coming from her eyes, just a subtle red glow. Also, the stronger the light, the smaller the pupil of the subject's eyes. So this effect works best when using low light. If you look directly at the camera, all you see is the light shining directly at you. I placed a black negative dot rag over the glass to stop any light spills reflecting into the camera. There is a lighting technique called flashing. It was commonly used during the film era, but has become less popular since the advancements with color grading, which give such a wide contrast range after shoot. Flashing lowers the contrast of the image. The way it works is also using a 45-degree glass. The standard procedure for flashing is to place a white silk above the glass, with a light shining onto the silk. This bounces into the lens, creating a white haze over the image. The light can then be dimmed to get the amount of flashing required. It's like shooting through a low contrast filter, only it's variable from completely white to a subtle mist. You can also shape the area you want low contrast by cutting the flashed area with black flags or black card. However, in this setup, I did not have the headroom for a setup like this, so I kept the black dot rag over the top of the glass and let the light from the Kinelux hit the rag. Then I placed a cutter flag in front of it so it only flashed the lower part of the frame, and stuck a white piece of paper to the rag to act as a reflector. This worked quite well, but what exactly was the flashing actually doing? The side effect of having a light shining directly at your subject means the subject will be flat, with no modeling or shadows. This lighting technique works very well for beauty, but this frame was a dark, dramatic turn in the story, and I felt it needed a more ominous look than an even beauty light. Thus, I wanted a slash of shadow across the upper part of the frame. The key light bouncing from the glass would not cast any shadow, so I flashed the lower part of the frame to reduce the contrast of the shadow areas. If we look at the video assist, we can see the result of the flashing clearly before the shot got graded. The bottom of the frame is considerably brighter and lower contrast than the upper part of the frame. What you are actually seeing here is the reflection of the white paper bouncing back to the camera. In grading, the contrast of the whole frame is lowered to give a nice deep contrast on the skin tone at the bottom of the frame, leaving the upper part of the frame in what appears to be shadow, whilst the subtle Blade Runner eyes remains throughout the whole shot.